Hey, check this out. I built myself a handy little lav mic using one of these little metal things. So now I can do a power pose.
I am Lord of all beasts of the land and fishes in the sea. I know everything.
And talk like I'm doing a TED Talk. Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Wow. But enough about my microphone. This video is not about the microphone, it's about this. Wow. Holy shit. This is an Arduino Nano based MIDI controllable string synthesizer with a simple analog low pass filter, and it has 4 notes of polyphony. So that's pretty cool. The Arduino code is based on Jan Östman's Solina string machine code, and some of you probably know the code because it's a very popular DIY project on the internet. And there's a 5-pin MIDI in modification for the code. I think it's by a dude called Miracle Dave, if I remember correctly. And then I did 2 little modifications to the code as well. I added a clock rate that basically just controls the pitch of the synth, and then an LFO rate for the modulation. And I also tried to make a pitch control separate from the clock rate, but I couldn't get that working. And I asked a friend of mine for some help, but I accidentally sent him the original code without the MIDI input, so maybe that's the reason why I couldn't get his code working either. But here's the schematic for the Arduino and the MIDI part of the synth. And the output of the Arduino goes to an analog low-pass filter. It's right there. Look at it. The filter is a simple analog low-pass filter by LEP, and I guess here's the schematic. It's a very simple but effective design with very basic parts. I will link LEP's website in the description. You can find the original schematic there, and there's a couple of different versions. For example, there's a high-pass version, I think. I did not film the building process for this because at first I thought this was gonna be more of like a prototype, and I just didn't have the energy. But there's nothing special about it. It's just a wooden box from some random pieces of wood and an aluminum panel. And I built the electronics on... I built the electronics on these prototyping PCBs I've ordered from JLC PCB. Well, there it is. I think this turned out very nice, especially for how simple it is. And it's very usable and handy in like musical things, because it does have the 4 notes of polyphony, so you can play chords and shit. And yeah, I think that's about it. Let's go check it out. Power in, MIDI in, and audio out. Let's go. Here it is. And like I said, the pitch knob is not working. And then there's also a tone switch that does nothing, because the original idea was not to build a filter for this. And the tone switch was supposed to be a simple RC filter. But we don't need that now, because we have a filter. The synth is now in its most basic setup. So basically just 4 saw waves, and you can play them polyphonically. and it goes really low and really high, but the high notes get kinda weird. When the envelope is at 12, the envelope is just a gate, and the polyphony works just like you would expect it to. So and when we turn it clockwise, it introduces decay, or release actually. And counterclockwise, it does the same thing, but also adds a slower attack. And still has the release. And what the envelope also does is it affects the polyphony, or how it behaves. So when I have a little bit of decay and I play a chord, it plays all the notes as long as I hold just one key. But I can still play or like change the highest note. So if I play a chord like this, I can still play higher notes while holding, the lowest note. And once you get used to it, I really enjoy how the polyphony works, because you can, play a chord and hold the chord with just one hand and then, mess around with the synth like this. Wow. The output of the Arduino always goes through the simple analog low-pass filter. I really like the filter. I think it sounds very good for how simple it is. You could probably add a pot to control the input gain of the filter, because when playing chords, there's a little bit of overdrive, but I don't know, I actually like it. But one problem I do have with the filter is that when we increase the resonance, we start to hear a little bit of bleed through. So even when the filter is closed, the dry signal bleeds through the circuit. And I don't know what to do about it, because I don't know anything about electronics. Shit. But if anybody has any ideas, then let me know in the comments, okay? And now we will leave the filter open and go through the other things. There is a modulation pot that creates this sort of, chorusy, pitch modulation-y vibe. once we go past maybe 12 o'clock, then the modulation gets kind of crazy. And we also have a control for the rate of the modulation. I should mess around with the code some more, because the whole usable range of the LFO is probably in the first quarter of the pot. But it does work, and that's a W in my books. Cool. And when we turn down the modulation, the synth kinda locks to a new wave shape. Because I guess it's like a certain point in the, you know, the modulation cycle or something. So you get kinda different waveforms if you quickly turn on the modulation and turn it down. And then if we turn the synth off and back on, we get back to our, you know, saw. And then we have the ensemble control. And it's this sort of phasery. Without. With. But the ensemble control also kind of makes the sound distort a bit, especially when playing a bit higher. Like that. But when used more moderately, it's, you know, there's no problems. And we can also use the distortion in a good way once we get to fun weirdness with the clock rate. Yes, so that's the ensemble. And, you know, together with the modulation, we can create this very Solina, you know, string machine type sounds. What the original code is meant for. And another thing with the filter is that when it's fully open and you increase the resonance, you can kind of boost the highs of the signal, and the filter also overdrives a bit less. The clock rate control was added to change the pitch of the synth, but as it reduces the clock rate of the whole thing, then it also makes things a bit weird. Reducing the clock rate Kinda makes the sound a bit, you know, glitchy. But I love the weird lo-fi vibe. And also, for some reason, the pitch of the synth is different depending on how many notes you play. So if I play one note and next note, it's a different pitch. So that's kind of weird. But you can also use that to kind of fake a pitch envelope if you play the chords like one note at a time. And the range of the clock goes from your regular pitch all the way down to weird noises. And with the clock rate down, you can get actually surprisingly beefy sounds. And also, when the clock rate is down, I love how weird the high notes sound. Oh, and also, when the clock rate is turned even a little bit down, if your MIDI keyboard has aftertouch, the aftertouch makes the synth kinda just, it glitches the whole thing. Pitch bending also makes a weird popping sound. So if you combine that with the aftertouch dropout thing, you can get a nice sort of lo-fi glitchy thing going. Wow! That's the synth. Now I'll play some more sounds, and thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Bye. I'm also sorry if my makeshift table makes the video uncomfortable to watch.